Hey there, Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. And if you are new here, my name is Hannah. I am a Western Practical Astrologer. Alrighty, so today we are going to be talking all about 2025 for all of you Capricorns out there. Yes, we're going to get into it. What does 2025 have in store for you, Capricorn? Now, firstly, I just want to say here that if you do find the information presented today to be helpful, please make sure to give the video a like and also subscribe for more content, more horoscopes. And if you would like to book a reading with me, you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. There you can also find the astrology products I offer. Okay. So I just want to say here, first and foremost, that if Capricorn is on the rising in your chart, then indeed this video is very much going to be for you, directed toward you. You're going to relate the most, quite possibly. But I also recommend even watching if the sun or moon are in the sign of Capricorn in your chart, especially if you've got a day chart and the sun is in Capricorn, or if you've got a night chart and the moon is in Capricorn. But just overall, I always recommend just watching for the sun, moon, and rising being the first naturally. But the thing about the sun is it can help us just look more at our soul's purpose, our soul's mission. It's more of that conscious part of ourselves. And when exploring the moon, we can look at things through a lens of our emotional landscape and our unconscious. Okay, Happy New Year, I want to say then to you Capricorns. Happy New Year. And also, you know what? Happy birthday to all of you solar Capricorns if you were born during Capricorn season. Just want to highlight then on that note that I do base my horoscopes more on a season by season. So it's more on a season by season basis. But just for today, when exploring the year, I just wanted to put it as 2025, but still happy new year. On that note, we kickstart the new year during your season Capricorn. So this means essentially that coming into the new year, the sun really activates your first house of self, your identity, how you project yourself to the world. There's a great deal of maturity, responsibility, greater visions, new beginnings, new notable beginnings and shifts basically here, Capricorn. And then by the astrological new year, which begins at the beginning of Aries season, the sun is in the fourth house in your chart. So really activating that part of the chart that's related to your private life, right? Your private self. It's more about your feelings, your unconscious, your emotional needs and attachments. And so with the sun being in Aries, as we come into the astrological new year, there's going to be many internal and emotional shifts. We also could look at this as you being a bit of a trailblazer or a leader when it comes to your family life, your home life, your living situation. Okay. More to come though, because a lot is going to be happening throughout 2025 within both Aries and Pisces. So, January, let's kickstart 2025 by exploring January. What is in store? Well, we have Mars retrograde, which is from the 6th of December 2024 until the 23rd of February 2025. So Mars retrograde begins from Leo. So it begins from Leo from the 6th of December till the 6th of January. So basically here for you Capricorn, we enter 2025 with a bang, I suppose you could say. This perhaps emotional eruption, if you will. You'll have an opportunity to dive really heavily into your unconscious drives and motivations. And a lot of it will be tied to your willpower, your strength, your courage, your ability to overcome, your ability to step up to certain challenges. A lot will come through as well with relation to your energy level. So there could be significant energy level transformations and shifts too. But just keep in mind, with Mars being retrograde, this is more about, okay, let's take a closer look at these things. Let's maybe just take some time to explore the unconscious, especially thinking more along the lines of which kinds of things, situations, events makes you angry, what frustrates you, what gets under your skin when you're crossed, when you feel tested. We could see these themes being looked at more so. And it's also then an opportunity for you to review any esoteric goals, psychological goals, intimacy goals, especially in Leo, right? Leo, Mars and Leo particularly can be very fiery, and I would say sexual, right? There's I suppose I can just say the word, but yeah, quite sexual, and there's a passion. There's a lot of passion involved. Whoo, so for you, Capricorn, you could be entering, sure, the new year with a bit of a bang, but also maybe with plenty of sexual feelings. We think about arousal even here more so. Interesting. So, indeed, perhaps a lot will come up for you when it comes to these areas. Okay, then we have from the 6th of January until the 23rd of February, Mars retrograde coming into Cancer in the 7th house for you, Capricorn. So, what we're going to see here is you taking a closer look at how you show up within your relationships. And I think, especially in Cancer, relationships through a lens of being security orientated, security focused, being protective, being tenacious. And what I even find quite fascinating for you specifically, Capricorn, is that we enter 2025 with this Mars retrograde where there's more of a review, there's more of a reassessment when it comes to partnership, others, clients, customers. But then we come to the end of 2025, and that's why Mars is spread out the way it is. It's really just showing the journey that Mars goes through throughout the year. But we come to the end of 2025, Mars will come into your sign, where, yes, Mars is actually exalted in your sign, Capricorn, whilst Mars is in its fall in the opposite sign. So there's an interesting journey, I think, for you when it comes to how you show up publicly. We think about you being perhaps quite driven there and very ambitious indeed. So we could come to the end of 2025 where there is this grit and there is this greater focus in terms of, okay, this is the path. But what you want to think about is take your time, right? We want to think about just that slow movement. We want to think about working with Mars as Mars goes through all of the other signs and what will come up for you throughout the year. Even think about it this way. I'm just really trying to think more so about the bigger picture here, but think about how Pluto was in your sign, Capricorn, for the past 16 years. So Pluto is now out of your sign, and we have Mars traveling through all of these other signs above the horizon. And so maybe there's something here to be said about regaining your strength as just one example. Okay, so regaining your strength, regaining your power, if you will. But that's not to say that Pluto in Capricorn was all bad or wrong or anything like that. I just think that there's more of a clearer path. I feel there's a clearer path, and it's also about being able to build upon what Pluto in Capricorn left behind, and that could mean many different things. Just providing the context and your own sort of personal situations. But still, yes, Mars retrograde in Cancer in the 7th house, I feel, is going to invite more of this honest review, this honest inner exploration when it comes to security within relationships. There's more naturally that could be said, but this is basically an overview. Moving on to the 11th of January. So on the 11th of January, what we see here is that the nodes are changing. They will change from North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra, to the North Node in Pisces, to the South Node in Virgo. So something quite interesting has been happening for you, Capricorn, since July of 2023, when the nodes entered your axis of private life, 4th house stuff, and your public life, 10th house stuff. So over the past 18 months or so, you've been kind of letting go of any indecision or any, let's just say, superficiality or vanity, perhaps. We even think about people pleasing. there within professional situations, codependency within professional situations. But it's also been a good way to Capricorn for you to maybe see what you would like to beautify, if you will, reorganize, making things appear more visual and pleasing to the naked eye, even being quite diplomatic and fair, and seeing how balance can be restored in some way, shape, or form within your professional lives too. So, whilst you've been perhaps addressing those areas, you've also simultaneously been directed towards that of your family life. It could be letting go, for example, of a particular career path or some direction that you thought your life was headed in. But actually, with the North Node in Aries, there's a lot to be said about your family, your living situation. Okay, it's more about home. And it's also about maybe more so putting yourself first, your own emotional needs first, your emotional security first. And this is also partly why I have put 2025 is a big year for your private life priorities. And the reason why I'm saying this is because, well, Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde plus Saturn and Neptune are all going to come into this fourth house arena after the North Node being there for 18 months. So essentially, all of this is to say, Capricorn, that we're noticing here a lot of shifts to do with your private world, your inner world, and your emotional needs. Okay, so then we come to the 11th of January, and the North Node comes into the 3rd, and then the South Node comes into the 9th. So from this particular transition, keep in mind that Saturn and Neptune have been in your 3rd house for quite a while, especially Saturn since March of 2023. So you've been building. There's something you've been building. There's something you've been quite determined about when it comes to learning, education, for example. So, and especially in spiritual ways, or aligning yourself with particular esoteric subjects. Just as an example, maybe a lot of this is about the collective unconscious, or maybe it's tied to film, art, media, escapism. So that focus, that structure, that maturity and discipline has been coming about, or basically just showing up within these areas. So the North Node comes into the 3rd, and the South Node comes into the 9th. And I think what this transition sort of indicates is that throughout 2025 and into 2026, you're going to be perhaps easing up on any, I would say, panicky ways of viewing things, maybe being able to let go of excessive worry or excessive fuss, stressing out about things that really, in the grand scheme of things, do not matter, right? They don't matter in the long run, but it's also an opportunity to tap into that of, okay, whenever I go into a particular subject and I want to broaden my understanding about that subject, I'm able to organize things. I'm able to break things down in concise, understandable ways. That's amazing. So you can also draw from certain gifts and talents there, while simultaneously following that North Node, and then really thinking about, okay, well, when it comes to my everyday life, my everyday conversations, how I interact, just the chit chat stuff, how am I showing up there? How can I maybe ease into that with greater flow and a tenderness, this softness, this kindness? How can I receive, right? Receiving new information and maybe being able to connect the dots from a more spiritual lens. Yeah, I think there's going to be something quite I would say partly solidifying about this transition, but also dissolving at the same time. And maybe a part of it is related to just going with it, right? Going with your intuition, going with a feeling, if you will. And the good thing about that, I suppose, is Saturn is still there supporting that, supporting your vision. It could be a very inspirational time period, indeed, being inspired by media and writing or research, etc. So there's, of course, so much more I could say, but just to follow on, moving on to the 30th of January. Okay, so Uranus turns direct in your 5th house, and Uranus retrograde is basically from the 1st of September until the 30th of January. So Uranus retrograde is just an opportunity for you to maybe think differently about your creative projects. So we think here about hobbies and creativity and just creative pursuits under the 5th house. And so Uranus moving through your 5th house over the past few years has been quite enlightening. A lot of innovation has happened. Many shakeups and breakthroughs have happened. The unexpected has also happened. So Uranus retrograde is just your way to gain a different perspective, to maybe see things from another point of view. And then when Uranus does eventually turn direct on the 30th of January, then you can hopefully move forward with that vision, right? With the epiphanies, with the realizations, but simultaneously, it's sort of like those visions and those epiphanies could be flipped on their head, right? Things could turn. Yeah. It Uranus is quite a tricky planet in that the unexpected could just happen, and it's hard to be able to fully identify what that will be, but you can maybe still look at it as potential unexpected changes and breakthroughs upon the horizon. Okay, we think about the unpredictable with respect to Uranus, but also just think about the unpredictable and these shakeups and these breakthroughs with relation to that of romance, love, okay, with romantic relationships, for example, with the 5th house, children as well. I mean, maybe there's some non-conforming ideas that you've been having about children, or there's some non-traditional views you've been having about love and relationships, just as other potential examples. Still, Uranus direct, I feel, could bring some sense of clarity. All right. So then we come to February time. And we have Jupiter also turning direct. So Jupiter turns direct in your 6th house in Gemini. So the Jupiter retrograde in Gemini has been from the 9th of October until the 4th of February. And this has been an interesting one, I think, for you, Capricorn, because we've been noticing you perhaps being quite multifaceted, trying out loads of different approaches and strategies when it comes to your work and your services. We see you upskilling. We see you wanting to learn, right? To expand your mind. A lot of growth has happened at work. A lot of growth has also been happening when it comes to your everyday routines and schedules. So, for instance, this could be you maybe wanting to inform yourself to gain knowledge about something health related. It could be maybe a certain exercise routine, for instance, and then also being able to switch it up, right? There's that flexibility, there's that adaptability with Gemini. So that would just be one example. But you see, with Jupiter retrograde from the 9th of October until the 4th of February, this has been your opportunity to review your growth, to see, okay, well, what have I learned so far? What has came up for me? Which opportunities have presented themselves to me when it comes to work or services? So, for instance, maybe a particular colleague or coworker or someone who just wants to work with you, they've approached you and they've said, hey, you know what, this is a really great idea. And I think that if we work together or we could expand on this, but maybe the retrograde has been a good period for you to really honestly review, okay, do I want to work with this person? Do I want to expand my services through X, Y, and Z? So, yeah, just take that time to think things through and to also maybe draw from your own inner guidance. I think with Jupiter being retrograde, I like to think of Jupiter as our moral compass. So, really focusing on your moral compass, your code of ethics, your principles, yeah, your inner guidance and what that is saying to you about the next step forward. Now, I do get it as well with the square to Saturn and everything. Collectively, that has been not so straightforward. It's almost like the moment that we see some glimpse of hope or something expanding, Saturn then restricts things and puts limitations on things. There's more naturally that I could say about that. But still, Jupiter retrograde is that opportunity to go within and to reflect, even to be able to think more so about how you can create your own luck, right? Jupiter retrograde can indicate a period of, okay, well, I can't just wait around and just hope that luck, for instance, is going to be on my side. I actually have to go out and create my own luck, if you will. So there is that. Maybe many questions have been coming up for you when it comes to these kinds of things and how they show up within your daily practices and routines. Still, Jupiter direct is your ability to move forward again, okay, with greater clarity, okay. So we come to Mars. Mars is then going to turn direct on the 23rd of February in your 7th house. So once again, we see here being able to move forward after this period of, okay, re-examining relationships, what do I want, especially, for instance, and I'm just going to say this as one example because Mars does rule your 4th house, let's just say that. So for instance, if it is that you use the Mars retrograde as a way to maybe have those challenging conversations, those straightforward conversations with your partner about raising a family, about having children, where you want to live, all these conversations maybe being had there. After that period, maybe with Mars turning direct, there's greater clarity, right? There's greater focus. Maybe you can see a plan forward. Now, with that being said, which we're going to get to in a moment, but both Venus and Mercury retrograde will come into your 4th house of family and home. So there's more to this story. But still, Mars direct could indicate just more of this focus, right? Being able to move forward in some capacity when it comes to maybe collaboration, relating, connecting. Maybe there could be some form of agreement that is reached, for example. Okay. Do keep in mind, though, that there is the post shadow period from the 23rd of February until the 2nd of May. So that will be a way for you to mull things over too. Even just want to highlight a little bit here with Mars in general on the 7th, there could be some form of disagreement, arguments, things like that. And, perhaps it's just not seeing eye to eye as an example here. And that could show up, yes, when it comes to family matters, but this could also be in a business sense. Okay, there could be something about contracts or agreements. So with the Mars retrograde, that could be your opportunity to really honestly review, okay, well, whenever I look over this information, how does that sit with me, physically, energetically? Does it really align with my goals, what I want there? There could be some form of challenge with Mars. But hopefully, with Mars turning direct and the next step forward, things will become a bit more clearer. Okay, so this then leads us on to March. So March is going to be a pretty active month. A lot happening March 2025. It's just like 2020, coming into 2025, we begin the new year with a bit of a bang, if you will, but the astrological new year, even bigger. I mean, major fireworks here. So, what's happening? Quite a lot. Venus and Mercury retrograde in Aries and Pisces, plus Neptune on the move, entering Aries for a shorter period of time before it begins its full transit the following year. But it will also be eclipse season. It will be in the very heart of eclipse season that this is happening. So, yes, the dawning of a new era, perhaps something remarkable in terms of changes within our Aries, Pisces houses. That threshold is so potent, and there's just a lot to be said about it. But we're here with this general overview. Okay, Capricorn, what is happening? So, Venus retrograde is going to be from the 1st of March until the 12th of April. And Venus retrograde in Aries will be from the 1st of March until the 27th of March in your 4th. So basically here, let's think about how Venus rules both your 10th and 5th houses. So therefore, what we could see, Capricorn, is you really considering, okay, what are my values? What do I prioritize when it comes to my family life, when it comes to my private life, and how these things align with my career path or how they take into consideration children, love, my hobbies. What do I enjoy? The Venus retrograde will naturally be so much about leadership and being a go getter, being a bit of a pioneer, because this is Aries. Aries is a very dynamic, very driven sign. Venus then retrograde could be this opportunity to honestly review these qualities, these attributes when it comes to, well, in your case, Capricorn, your private life, your emotional landscape, your emotional needs and attachments, your inner security, your emotional security in general, okay? Yes, Venus is in its detriment in Aries. And so, there could be something to be said about feeling quite uncomfortable or a bit like I can't really get what I want, and maybe a part of it, it's interesting because the South Node will have been in your 10th house since July 2023 until January 2025. So maybe there will be something to be said about older patterns or themes coming up related to people pleasing or codependency. And it's sort of a nudge to say, have you learned from that? What are you doing about that? How does it feel in your body there whenever you, for example, don't stand up for yourself? Just as one example. Again, relate that to that of family. Okay, so that would be the Venus retrograde, which, to be fair, there could also be an honest review when it comes to your finances, your physical security there as well. So we once more want to think about how those matters are tied to that of your living situation and your home life. So if it is, for example, that you would like to save for a mortgage or you want to save for something family related, the Venus retrograde could be your opportunity to go over that step-by-step process to consider what you can do. Then from the 27th of March until the 12th of April, Venus retrograde comes into your third. So what we're going to see for this part of the retrograde is your ability to review your visions, your dreams, to take a closer look at your imagination and how that comes through, how the beauty of that comes through when it comes to your way of speaking, communicating, writing, right? So the third house is communication in many different ways. Of course, communication can show up in many ways, but with Venus retrograde in Pisces, a lot of this is going to be highly creative, highly artistic, tapping into your imagination, thinking about symbolism, signs, synchronicities there, the fantasy world coming to life, right? And in a similar way, right, we've seen with Neptune and Saturn being in your third house, Capricorn, your ability to really tap into these things, but to also bring form, to bring form to your artistic visions and dreams. Yes. So Venus retrograde is just this way of, okay, well, review that stuff. What have you been learning? What else would you like to tap into and access? Venus then is naturally exalted in Pisces, so it could be very dreamy, very soothing and healing, even maybe mentally healing, quite purifying in many ways, and enlightening, enlightening there. Oh, very interesting indeed, Capricorn. So then we also have Mercury retrograde. So Mercury retrograde is from the 15th of March until the 7th of April. Mercury retrograde in Aries is from, so if I just look over my dates here, it is from the 15th of March until the 29th of March, right? So Mercury basically is about thought and communication. So whenever we were exploring previously with the Venus retrograde, maybe you reviewing your finances or your physical security, some kind of growth there when it comes to family or home. Well, Mercury retrograde just adds this layer of, okay, well, be clear, be be thoughtful, be mindful of the words you use, be mindful of information, the actual wording of things. Maybe even take honestly a closer look at things that uh, have a lot of information on them, important documents, for instance. Think even about how Mercury rules the sixth and the ninth houses for you. So, this stuff I talk about could be related to work, could be related to some higher educational program or some qualification that you want to obtain. Yeah, just slow down enough to be able to catch things. But it could also be an opportunity to revisit older ideas, older ideas when it comes to family and home, and being quite ambitious and passionate about such things with Aries. And then Mercury retrograde comes into your third house from the 29th of March until the 7th of April. So, this part of the retrograde as could be related to then again communication, thoughts there, wording. But I think with Mercury retrograde in Pisces, it's a bit more tricky, a bit more slippery, so to speak. There could be orientated, not really sure, right? With Mercury being in its fall in Pisces, right? There just could be something that isn't quite aligned, or it's difficult to catch or relate to. But it's also a good opportunity to explore the fantasy world. So, to really tap into other dimensions, so to speak, thinking about cosmic downloads and to be open minded and curious about these fantasy related themes, spiritual related subjects and topics, similar messages to do with your intuition and that guidance there, that inner guidance. Very exciting indeed. My goodness, you could even just explore older methods, older dreams, perhaps dreams that you repressed or dreams that you blocked out because of fear, for instance. Oh, yeah, I think you're going to tap into something pretty remarkable. All right, then we come into eclipse season. So we have the lunar eclipse in your ninth house on the 14th of March, which is sort of like a grand opening, if you will. But that grand opening of this new set of eclipses in the ninth and third houses for you, Capricorn, well, it's also going to involve something that you'll release, right? There could be a letting go, there could be this significant shift. So, for instance, this could look like you saying, hey, do you know what? When I really reflect upon that worldview and how it relates to me on an everyday level and on an everyday basis, it's not practical. It doesn't make sense. I'm not aligned with that. And you can let go of it, right? And that could be quite healing and therapeutic. And then we come to the solar eclipse in Aries, very close to these retrogrades. So that's going to be on the 29th of March, and it's going to be in your fourth. So remember that eclipses have been happening in your fourth and 10th houses for quite some time. So we've been seeing here significant shifts and changes, notable changes to do with how you show up emotionally, how you show up publicly, your private self, your public self there, your home life, your professional life there. But you see, this solar eclipse in Aries is sort of like a closing. There's like an ending, if you will, because it will be the final eclipse on that axis. Do keep in mind that there's still that period after where things integrate and so on and so forth. There's more to that, but there's still something quite interesting to be said about the solar eclipse in Aries and how there could be a significant shift happen. And that shift within itself can feel quite fresh and new. So, a shift to do with your emotional world, your private life. This is also why I've said, again, this is a big year here, Capricorn, for private life priorities. What is it that you're prioritizing throughout 2025 to do with your family, your home, and independence there? Okay, this is about your independent spirit, your fighting spirit with Aries. Being that spiritual warrior, that emotional warrior, being brave and courageous, being honest with yourself, being authentic about family matters, about what you want there, basically. Okay, more to come, I'm sure, in more videos with the eclipses. But let's explore then Neptune. So Neptune comes into the fourth house for you. So Neptune enters Aries on the 30th, I believe. I'm just going over my notes. Yes, the 30th of March. Neptune enters your fourth in Aries. So what does this indicate? Well, I think there is going to be a big shift within you that's going to say, do you know what? I want what feels like a peaceful sanctuary. I want somewhere when it comes to my living situation where I feel at peace within myself. I feel this calmness. I feel serene. There is even this surrendering quality to Neptune, to be able to surrender, to be able to let go, and to also, I think, follow your vision, follow your creative path, your creative flow when it comes to your family life and your private life. So, sure, there could be many Capricorns out there where it is about perhaps you going with a desire or following your heart, following your dreams, so to speak, when it comes to family. But there could also be Capricorns out there where it is more about you flying solo, okay? It's more about your independence. You could also say that that independent streak it shows up within your family life too. And I would also argue that with Neptune, there can be this idealism. So just maybe be mindful of that a little bit, of being overly idealistic when it comes to family stuff, your home, these matters. But I would also say, my goodness, Capricorn, this is going to be amazing for you being so creative, so inspirational, and artistic within your home. We think about you privately, you in solitude, but with Aries, there's a passion, there's an enthusiasm. Oh, there's so much freedom and adventure. There's a will, so much energy, this dynamic energy with Aries. So, indeed, I think it's going to be very interesting indeed for you, Capricorn. Okay, now I do feel the need to mention here that this is just the first part of this transit. Neptune is going to start its full transit from 2026, which we'll just touch more on that in a moment. But April, let's explore April quickly. April 2025, then, Mars turns direct on the 7th of April. And remember the post-shadow period. So if I just get post-shadow period here. The post-shadow period of Mercury is from the 7th of April until the 26th of April. So basically, throughout that period, just mull things over, whatever comes up during the retrograde about your imagination, about the fantasy world, about your writing, your research, communication, about family stuff, just mull things over, okay? And in a similar fashion, we want to think about Venus turning direct on the 12th of April, and the post-shadow period for Venus will be from the 12th of April until the 16th of May. So yes, just take that time to integrate lessons learned, any tweaks and changes you want to make, anything else that comes through. Yes, take the time. I am sure we will talk in more detail about Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde, but this naturally is more of an overview for the year. Just look at it as a quick guide to keep you right, okay? May. We come into May and we have Pluto turning retrograde. Right. So Pluto is in the second house for you from the 19th of November 2024 until the 4th of May. So with Pluto coming into your second house, especially after it leaving your sign after 16 years, we notice new themes, new transformations, new renewals. And I think a lot of this is about making bank. Let's just put it that way, Capricorn. And maybe you're pleased to hear that, right? Making bank, wealth, how you can accumulate materials. But what I'm also going to say about this, especially with Pluto in Aquarius, this is about being able to detach from particular outcomes or even resources or financial prospects that do not align with your bigger message. This could also show up as you deciding, you know what, this particular way of earning money is not for me. I don't enjoy that. I want to try something new. I want to try something else. It's also about originality. There could be themes to do with thinking outside of the box, being quite experimental, innovating in some way, shape, or form. Still, however, Pluto within itself coming into the second house, I feel is going to indicate these transformations when it comes to perhaps large sums of money. Just being able to budget, to manage your spending, to manage your earnings in such a way where you actually are determined, you're resilient, and you truly become powerful and wise about the money decisions you're making there. So, with Pluto turning retrograde from the 4th of May until the 13th of October, it's just really your opportunity to go over where you're at by that point, to maybe think more deeply about things, to explore your unconscious, to explore your shadow, your fears, to take a closer look at your fears, what is holding you back. Because the thing about Pluto is, yes, we could see transformations and renewals to do with your finances, but it's also way more challenging than just that, right? There could be a lot of unconscious drives and motivations, things that you're not aware of that can get in the way, that can hinder your progress, that can feel unsettling. There could be certain shifts and changes that happen that throw you off and make you just want to pull your hair out, to be quite honest. But hopefully, with Pluto, you can purge when you need to. You can eliminate things that do not serve you. And often we want to think about this in terms of, well, whether you like it or not, things are going to change. Okay. But with that, there is the ability to overcome, to evolve, and to truly step into your personal power. Think about these themes, okay? These themes that we talk about, also relate them to your self-worth, your self-esteem, Capricorn. Okay, moving on then to Saturn. Your ruler is on the move. Right. Saturn enters Aries. Saturn enters Aries on the 24th of May, coming into this fourth house arena for you. So previously, we were talking about Neptune coming into the fourth and how, sure, Neptune could show up as being quite idealistic, possibly dreamy, going with the flow in some respects as well when it comes to your family life. But you see, Saturn is more about form and structure. Saturn is more about discipline, thinking about the long haul, and it's about responsibility. So this is also partly why I was saying with your private life, okay, it's time to look at your private life priorities, to be mature, to be responsible about the moves that you're making privately within your within your household, within your family. And remember, in some respects, then, that this stuff is just as important as your public life, and how even the building blocks that you put in place there when it comes to your family life can also help you when it comes to being successful, when it comes to going after your goals. We think about your aims there, your aims, your goals, your life path, because, this is your ruler. So there's so much to be said here about building a solid foundation, taking things seriously, being a responsible pioneer, being a responsible leader within the home, being independently responsible, drawing from this inner source of that independence. And so committing yourself, if you will, and doing the hard work, being determined. Yes, it's going to be very interesting for you, Capricorn, because a lot of this stuff is happening on an emotional level. Whew. Now, as I was saying earlier with Neptune, similar thing with Saturn. This is the first part of Saturn coming into Aries, but the thing is that on the 19th of February 2026, Neptune and Saturn conjunct, starting this 35-year cycle in your fourth house. So what we are going to see is, yes, powerful changes here to do with your household, to do with your inner world, your emotional landscape. There's more information to come about all of this, I'm sure, closer to the time, but I just wanted to inform you about that conjunction. It's going to be very exciting. So then we come into June. June time, what is in store this June, and Jupiter comes into your seventh. So think of it like this. Mars was in your seventh at the beginning of the year. There was the Mars retrograde. So that was an opportunity to maybe honestly reassess and re-examine things to do with relationships, collaborations, clients, customers, things like that. But doing so through more of this view of, okay, energetically, physically, what's coming through for me? What do I want? What are my goals? What about my willpower? What about my strength? How courageous am I being? But Jupiter comes along and enters Cancer on the 9th of June and will be there for about a year or so. Jupiter comes along into the 7th and expands. It looks at drawing things to you. There's this magnetism. There is this growth that happens. Jupiter is about abundance and prosperity. So we could see things like more clients, more customers, more people wanting to work with you, more people wanting to collaborate with you. And there's also this part of it that feels emotionally secure. There's a protectiveness, right? That protective shell to do with Cancer. There's also perhaps what feels like motherly influences or very feminine influences, or people who want to support you, who care about you. But equally, this could be about how you show care and support within your own relationships or within your marriage there. For some of you Capricorns, yes, this could be about a proposal. This could be about a marriage. This could be about furthering yourself within your relationships in some way. This could also be about business, right? Blessings when it comes to business, opportunities when it comes to business. Very interesting indeed. And then whenever we consider how Jupiter rules the 12th and the 3rd houses, my goodness, things could happen in very spiritually enlightened ways. Okay, there could be some influence of the unknown, things that maybe you don't quite see behind the scenes, but you could be pleasantly surprised. There could be also something to be said about your writing or your research really being seen by other people, or many people being attracted to it. There could be growth, blessings, and luck there. Greater inspiration as well within your relationships and partnerships. There's more to this, as always. This is a general overview, and we would also want to explore the journey of Jupiter and the aspects that it makes with other planets throughout the year. So then we come to July, and what we have in July is Neptune turning retrograde on the 4th of July until the 10th of December. So there is that period of Neptune retrograde in the 4th house. Right. What we see with Neptune retrograde is just an opportunity to re-examine any visions or dreams, how you might have been inspired up until that point. within your private life, okay? So we think about Neptune coming into the fourth, and maybe it could feel like, oh my gosh, I'm just being flooded with so many new visions, and I can see all of the beauty, the opportunities here that I could maybe push for. And we think about with Aries, a lot of this could be goal orientated, right? So Neptune retrograde is just an opportunity to slow it down, okay? Reflect, contemplate, journal, refine, look deeper within, spiritual exploration, things of that nature. And to also see past illusions. And hopefully, with the help of Saturn, you can do that. Moreover, what we have is another significant shift throughout 2025. And this is also the first part of it, okay? Because Uranus moves into Gemini on the 7th of July. We'll be there for a shorter period of time, and then by 2026, we'll begin its full transit, right? So, what does this mean for you? With Uranus entering your sixth, think of it this way: Jupiter will have been in your sixth for its period of time, which is about a year or so. So, Jupiter would have been in your sixth, and we explored how, with Jupiter in your sixth, many new opportunities, many forms of growth there to do with your work, your services, your everyday, being multifaceted, being curious, being inquisitive, very creative, just trying many different methods, perhaps being open minded. But then Uranus comes in and could very well throw a curveball, or like how do we say, a spanner into the works. Uranus could be where, oh gosh, I didn't quite plan for that. I didn't think that that would happen when it comes to my working life, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, okay? Such things could be very exciting and interesting. We could see some form of a breakthrough or a shake up when it comes to your working lives, your schedules. Could also be your opportunity to really experiment, to play around with different ways of doing things, to think outside of the box. My goodness, you could be such innovators within the workplace, within your workforce there. And also, we could see something quite unexpected with relation to your health, especially mentally speaking. We think even about the nerves, okay? So, yeah, there could be some interesting sort of shakeups or unexpected changes to do with your mental well-being, or to do with your nervous system. Maybe this could also be why it'll be important to slow down somewhat, or to be somewhat mindful of how much you are taking on with that transit. And maybe Jupiter in Gemini has been maybe easing that in, or helping you see what you can prepare for. We can't prepare for the unexpected, really, but there are little things we can put in place to try to maybe hopefully minimize things from happening. And maybe you know all too well, Capricorn, about what that means and what that looks like, because hey, Capricorn, you can be such planners. But we could also look at this as things skyrocketing. Right? Your services could just skyrocket. There could be this exciting, exuberant sort of influence there amongst your coworkers and your colleagues. Maybe this is even about teamwork or networking, just coming together, exploring new ideas, exploring new visions together. Yeah, it could indeed. It could be an exciting transit too. But do remember that this is just one part of it. More to come. More to come. Then we have on the 13th of July, Saturn also turning retrograde. So it'll be from the 13th of July until the 27th of November. But with this short period, with this short window of your ruler turning retrograde in the fourth, similar sort of thing to Neptune. It's just about reviewing, taking a closer look, especially slowing it down here with Saturn when it comes to all of that family related stuff, okay? And also thinking about your emotions, thinking about that's how steady you might feel or unsteady you might feel emotionally. If it is that maybe there's some hard truths that come up, right? Because, Saturn in the fourth can be within itself quite a challenging spot. It can be, there could be some sort of difficulties, struggles, challenges there when it comes to your emotional needs or how you go about having your emotional needs met, right? There could be something quite limiting there. So perhaps in some respects with Saturn turning retrograde, it could be an opportunity to slow it down and to try and just be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself. Can you maybe draw from um, some source of strength there? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think Saturn, yes, can be great when it comes to building and can be great for maturity and discipline. But I do feel like Saturn can also be a bit of a hard ass, a bit of a punisher at times. So maybe just be hopefully aware of how you might internalize things with Saturn coming into the fourth Capricorn. Plus, I would also say that Saturn retrograde in the fourth could be your opportunity to review the steps you will have taken up until that point, right? So, to maybe review the foundations, so to speak, to see maybe, okay, well, I'm getting a feel for these lessons could come up, these lessons about patience and maturity and precision. So, you can just take that time to review where you're at. Moving on then to Mercury. Mercury retrograde from the 18th of July until the 11th of August. Keep in mind the Mars retrograde in your 8th more at the beginning of the year. So indeed, a lot of sexual feelings could have came up around that time period, or it could have been more so about shared resources, shared accounts, and your ambitions there, your leadership there. Mercury retrograde then is more so about, okay, the facts, the figures, the information. What can I maybe honestly look over there? Maybe there's something you want to educate yourself on. There could be something about an educational matter, an older educational matter that comes through, that comes up. And with Mercury being in Leo, there is that confidence, there is that self assurance, that radiance, maybe this desire to be recognized, to be seen. Hey, you know what? This could even be about what is communicated within the bedroom, what is communicated sexually on an intimate level. This could also be about vulnerability, trust, that connection, honesty. That's very much a part of intimacy and trust. So yes, there could be interesting conversations that are revisited there with relation to these areas. We especially see this between you and your significant other, or even between you and maybe someone that you share accounts with, you share resources with. So then we come to August, and basically, August invites Mercury direct. So Mercury will turn direct on the 11th of August. So from the 11th of August until the 25th of August, just take that period, take that time to mull things over, tie up some loose ends, integration there. Whatever you revisited during the retrograde, you can just take your time to sit with the information and to see what else comes through. This stuff could even more so be related to the paranormal, occult-like subjects, studies, things like that. And maybe you want to be a bit more creative, or you want to think more so about how you deliver those subjects, how you communicate those subjects. Hopefully in an enthusiastic way. Okay, September. We come into September, and what we have is your ruler here, Capricorn, coming into the third house. So Saturn retrograde enters Pisces on the 1st of September. So from the 1st of September until the 27th of November, remember, this will be the final retrograde of Saturn in Pisces for another 30 years. So take your time. Really, I think, Capricorn, take that time period to mull things over, more so to really reflect, to contemplate heavily there the life lessons, to go over to revisit, right? Okay, well, flip, what has happened here when it comes to communication and teaching and even sibling relationships? Maybe there's been significant changes and movement when it comes to your local area, your neighborhood, things like that, vehicles. So Saturn retrograde just invites this final honest review and your ability to go within. Maybe journaling could be really, really great for this. Maybe being able to spend some time in solitude, spend some time alone to be with your own thoughts, for example. Could even be a good way for you to see how you've been successful, how you've stepped up, how you've shown determination when it comes to your studies, for instance, when it comes to your writing, for instance, even how you show up on a more social setting, right? So we think about social media there with the third house too. Yes. What have you learned? Okay, lessons learned, life lessons with Saturn. Then Uranus retrograde happens in your sixth house. Uranus retrograde will be from the 6th of September coming into 2026. Now, with this short window of Uranus retrograde in the 6th, it's just maybe a good opportunity to look over, well, flip, how have things happened in unexpected ways I could not have predicted really here when it comes to my work and my services and my health. And so you can maybe retrace your steps a little bit. You can maybe see how you've changed already at that point, or anything else you can learn from that point too, right? You can learn maybe from those past few weeks, a couple of months there with Uranus being in your sixth. And then you can maybe even look at things differently. There could be maybe some aha moments, lightning bolt moments, things that further catch you by surprise. But this within itself is it's very much felt within. And there's something about even your intuition being activated strongly there. These enlightening moments. So it's like seeing things in a flash, especially when it comes to technology or media or marketing there, for example. Okay. Then we have here the next eclipse season, and there will be the lunar eclipse in Pisces in your third house on the 7th of September. So that will be a good opportunity for you to shed old skin, to release something, to have a bit of a reset when it comes to your imagination and your communication and your teachings. So there could be some fears that come up or phobias that come up. The unknown could be presented to you. There just could be something that is hidden, that is revealed or illuminated, if you will. And then we have the solar eclipse in your ninth house in Virgo on the 21st of September. So that will be a good way to set intentions, to think about notable changes and new beginnings, new chapters to do with how you share information, how you broadcast it, how you publish it in practical, concise ways. But we could also look at this as maybe something interesting to do with training, right? Further education. We could look at this as some kind of training course. Maybe you want to be a lot more equipped or in the know. There could be something that you want to learn about or further your understanding about, is perhaps a better way to put it there. And in Virgo, a lot of it is about improvement. More information to come about the eclipses. Furthermore, okay, so October, we come into October and what we see is Pluto turning direct in your second house from the 13th of October. So indeed, what you can do then after this period of addressing, for example, your fears to do with finances or addressing your shadow to do with your self-worth or your skills there, Pluto turns direct, and it could be this source of empowerment or evolution to rise, to be able to go, right, okay, I'm stronger, I've grown through that situation, and I can see what I need to do next. And I do want to say that if you have any personal planets in Aquarius, especially, you're going to feel this more strongly. even if there are certain planets that make significant aspects to Pluto in Aquarius in your chart. Neptune then. So Neptune retrograde comes back into the third house on the 22nd of October. Right, similar to what I was saying about Saturn. This is the final Neptune retrograde in Pisces, and this is going to be for a very long time. I'm talking like 150 years or so. So make it count. So what I mean by this is similar to what I was saying about Saturn. Take all that time, right? Take the time from the 22nd of October till the 10th of December to honestly sit with, okay, oh my gosh, what have I really learned these past 14 years or so? Something like that. To do with my mind and how I speak to myself. Am I kind to myself? There's something here about even self-compassion and being loving and tender here, especially when we think about this with relation to your mindset and how you communicate too. So you can hopefully take that time to honestly review, well, where have I been maybe confused or deceived? Which kinds of dreams have I followed? How have I maybe explored or tapped into my imagination and brought it to life? And how also is it that I'm able to communicate symbolism and bring things to life through my words, through my writing, through my message? It's just I feel like Neptune in the third, especially in Pisces, it's such a creative placement to have such a creative and artistic mind. And Saturn also being a part of this. My goodness, Capricorn, you've been able to bring those visions and those dreams to life, whether this be through writing or poetry or dance or film, videos, right? Okay. So yes, take that time. Then we come to November time. And November, we have Uranus retrograde coming into the 5th. So this will also be the final Uranus retrograde in Taurus for a very long time. So take that time period from around the 7th of November, right, until around 2026 to re-examine the unexpected, the changes that have happened, the shakeups that have occurred when it comes to your hobbies, your creative pursuits. We think about also how you show up within your romantic relationships. Maybe this has been about sensuality and pleasure. Oh, a lot of innovation has happened there. Many breakthroughs have happened. Certain things have been shattered. Certain things have unexpectedly ended. So, yes, I think it will be a good way to go over the lessons you've learned or to maybe still reflect upon previous experiences a bit and to see if there's anything else that you can maybe take from those experiences and maybe apply them to that of your art, for example. And do keep in mind that with Taurus, Taurus can also show up as how we earn money. So this could literally be you earning money for your creative products. So we think about certain books or videos that you've created and how you can essentially earn money from those. So Uranus retrograde is that opportunity for you to re-examine these things. See what else you can learn. See what else you can do differently. Moreover, we come to the final Mercury retrograde of the year, and the Mercury retrograde will start from Sagittarius. So basically the retrograde will be from the 9th of November until the 29th of November. But from the 9th of November until the 18th of November, Mercury retrograde will come into your 12th. Oh my goodness, just another nod to imagination, to inspiration, to vision, dreams. The wider messaging, the bigger picture comes into this. A lot of behind the scenes activity, being able to escape, going within, and yeah, looking at the very expansion of the spiritual world and how you can even align yourself more so with your morals, with your moral compass, listening to your inner guide once more there, Capricorn. But then you see Mercury retrograde comes into the 11th from the 18th of November. My apologies, I have not been feeling the best the past few days. The 18th of November until the 29th of November, Mercury retrograde in the 11th is more so about you coming to terms with previous friendship conversations, community conversations. You could revisit older ideas with relation to wider networks or clubs or groups. But keep in mind, with Mercury and Scorpio, there's something quite investigative there. There could be something as well that you just want to get to the bottom of, right? A lot of research could be a part of this. And I think that research and that investigation could involve many people. We think about the masses when it comes to the 11th. There will be much more information to come about the retrogrades and everything else when we consider the astrology at the time. But with this being an overview, I hope that I'm able to shed some light on what's going to come up. And then you see Mercury will turn direct on the 29th of November. So from the 29th of November until the 16th of December, Capricorn, mull things over. Just take your time, sit with the information that came up. Then we see, moreover, that Jupiter is going to turn retrograde. So Jupiter retrograde will happen from the 11th of November coming into 2026 in your 7th house. Basically, it's just a good opportunity for you to think more so about, well, what opportunities have been presented to me within my relationships and my partnerships? How have things been opened up to me there? And how have I grown? How have I expanded already when it comes to how I show up within my relationships in this emotional way or emotionally secure way? Thinking about being tenacious, protective, and also partly sentimental. So, yes, Jupiter retrograde just is that period of time to review, re examine, and to also tune in with your inner guide, to also count your blessings, to see what you're grateful for, to see what teachings and messages will have come up until that point. Okay, well, we get to the end of 2025, and what we see is that your ruler, Saturn, turns direct on the 27th of November. Yes, endings, endings, endings. Capricorn. It's interesting, certainly, because as I said in one of the previous videos, we have Pluto moving from Capricorn into Aquarius around the end of 2024. And then we have both Saturn and Neptune entering Aries after being in Pisces coming into 2026. But you see, with both Saturn and Neptune turning direct, there's still this sort of closing. There's still something quite interesting about this transition when we come to the end of 2025. Goodbyes are coming, right? So think then here about with Saturn turning direct on the 27th of November. Think about how you can hopefully move forward with this greater recognition, with your ability to honestly say, hey, you know what? I've been really dedicated and successful. I can see what I've achieved when it comes to, for example, just one example, when it comes to my learning. I can see how I followed through with things. I can see that I stepped up to certain obstacles and I challenged myself. I was able to overcome them. I was able to see setbacks as something to learn from. And perhaps in this way, miracles happened. And yes, Saturn, and you know this all too well, Capricorn, can be so testing. It can be hard to work with Saturn, but it can also be so damn rewarding. Through the trials and the tribulations of Saturn, we learn, we grow, we improve, we become stronger. We are made aware of our resilience and our ability to overcome and face adversity. So, Saturn direct, your ruler, invites this recognition. Okay, honestly, recognizing how you have been so focused and determined and hardworking, very ambitious indeed, when it comes to these third house areas of education, research, communication, how you show up within your local area, possible fears that you've been able to address, even when it comes to your local area, how you get from A to B. Then finally, we have December. And what do we see? On the 10th of December, Neptune also turns direct. So Neptune then is also this nudge of, okay, after this period of honestly reviewing potential illusions, anything you're confused about, anything you're deceived about, you can hopefully move forward, right? You can move forward hopefully with greater clarity, emotional understanding, emotional depth, very spiritually enlightening, I think. And with Neptune being retrograde, it is an opportunity to go within and to look more at our spiritual essence. So, all of this is to say, Neptune direct is just another nudge of, okay, it is time. It is time to honestly move forward with this greater understanding of my emotional depths and how aligned I am with my emotional practices, how I show up there. With Saturn then also supporting this, Saturn has been this force of actually doing the work. Because I guess when it comes to spirituality, it does require patience and work like anything else. Just remember then that with both Saturn and Neptune direct, the post shadow period coming into 2026, take your time, sit with things, see what else comes through. But on that note, Capricorn, this has been 2025 for you. Thank you so, so much for listening. And if you would like to book a reading with me, you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. And if you did really enjoy your 2025 horoscope today, you can always buy me a coffee. But of course, there's never any pressure to do anything. It's just to let you know what is available. But yes, if you did find the information to be helpful, please make sure to give the video a like. And just again, this has been an overview. I'm sure there will be more information to come. Thank you very, very much. And Happy New Year again. And I will talk to you in the next video. Bye.